Greetings all. Well, we could say that this might be a video about paranormal activities, but in my world, this kind of stuff ain't paranormal. It's just regular stuff. Yeah, last night I was dreaming away and, well, fell into dreams about being a teenage youth again, living back at Mom's house, and there was a real video repeat. Okay, yeah, it's just a rerun of me working on my BSA motorcycle in Mom's garage, and buddy Rick dropping by, and Rick being bored, and he polished my motorcycle up completely with semi-chrome. And the next day I wrecked the bike. Yeah, hit a school bus, 65, 70 miles an hour. Oh boy. Anyway, yeah, well, Rick was there at the time. He was following me, and well, he stayed with me. He went to the hospital with my mother and stayed with her, you know, and my mom was sure to remind me after the experience that your buddy Rick is a good friend. Well, I knew that, but yeah, we're very tight. Met as musicians. We played music together for years. Traveled, yeah, one-way nonstop, 36,000-mile trips to Guatemala, blah, blah. Crazy history, man. Lots of crazy history. And so he's one of my brothers. Well, I had this dream about the motorcycle wreck and Rick helping me. I got up in the morning. I said, I have enough intuition that I understand what that means. Something's wrong with Rick. I got scared. So I got on the phone call. I called North Carolina. Would you believe? I caught him as they were pushing him in a wheelchair out the front door of the hospital. He'd been in there for days. Had a case of diverticulitis so bad the poor man had not had a bowel movement for 5 weeks. God, I'd have shot myself. Anyway, yeah, I knew it. I told him, man, I knew there was something wrong with you. And, well, I caught him just as he's leaving the hospital, too. It was, well, what timing, you know? And I told him about the dream, and he said, well, yeah, you know, I've known you long enough that I know that kind of thing is part of your life, because a lot of people been around me realize that I do have premonitions and precognition, and I am intuitive enough to know the difference and understand how these things are real and important. Well, as a young man, you know, I studied Scripture, and of course, Scripture is full of precognitions and full of people who interpret dreams. The Old Testament, particularly, was good at that, and I think we don't forget the Pharaoh's dreams. You know, 7 lean cows eating up 7 skinny fat cows, and I guess that was Jacob who interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams for him. They were all in symbols that indicated that there was going to be 7 years of famine, and it became the first grain set-aside program on Earth, probably, when they started storing food for the coming of a disaster due to premonition, you know, and the interpretation of dreams. Well, I grew up that way. And there are a lot of things in Scripture that I don't agree with or believe, but that wasn't one of them. You know, as a juvenile, I was a teenager when I actually myself began having precognitive dreaming. Many things that I should never have known, I knew ahead of time. Okay, same story. Not necessarily as symbolic as the Pharaoh's dreams either. Boy, I tell you, some of this was right on, man. Well, anyhow, let's talk about intuition, all right? Intuition doesn't necessarily have anything to do with paranormal. Intuition is basically it's a feeling. Yeah, you have you get a sudden urge or a hunch that says, must look at this. Maybe you don't have any intellectual process behind it. It just kind of comes at you. In a way, it's a little bit animal. You know, it's like feeling danger. You know? Yeah, that's intuition. And without intuition, though, you probably cannot have a successful precognition or premonition. Premonition is ordinarily where we have a strong feeling that something is about to happen. If you turn the corner, there's going to be trouble, or that type of thing. It usually has to do with disaster and problems. That's typical with premonition. But you got to have intuition in order to be able to understand that your premonition is worth paying attention to. Yeah, you got to have a hunch that it's real. Oh, and then of course you got precognition. Now, precognition, that's the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Precognition is where you actually are aware of the future. And, it can be, just symbols and dreams, like the Pharaoh's 7 skinny cows eating 7 fat cows, and requiring somebody who could interpret symbols and dreams in order to be able to make sense out of it. On the other hand, precognition can be a darn video camera. I mean, you can have precognitive dreams where everything that happens in the dream will eventually happen exactly as it happens later. It's a very queer feeling to be in the room knowing no one else has ever been there before on this timeline, but you have. This is your second trip around, and you know exactly what's going to occur here. It's a freaky feeling. It's a very freaky feeling. And it's hard to explain how it happens because we tend to believe that time is linear. And in a sense it is. Time does sort of work like a ruler. The planet's spinning in a circle day on and day on. It's going around the sun, year on and year on. And so that's a linear procession of events that we call time. That's usually how we see it. Most of us see it as a ruler, past was here, present now, future ain't happened yet, But, and that is a true expression of time in a way, but it's not the whole expression of time. Time is probably more like space. It's some sort of a measurement of some kind of a volume, hooked to measurements of distance and space. The one I don't think works without the other somehow. Although I'm not even going to try there. Okay, I won't even try why things are that way, but it's a fact. Time probably starts with a big bang. It's quantum entangled, and it moves outward in all directions, always. Yeah, sort of an ever-expanding thing, more than a linear thing. Yeah. Well, yeah, I kind of tossed this out here this morning because I know I got a few folks that like this paranormal type stuff, but see, you got to understand here in Bill's world, this is not paranormal. When you experience these things too often, you realize it's not paranormal, it's normal. We all do this. How we do it, I don't know. Maybe at some level, all human beings are actually one thing. We're connected somehow. Somehow we're all connected to an Akasha or something here. And that all things that ever happened are knowledgeable, are noticeable to us if we knew how to look for them, I guess. I don't know. Don't bother. Why? It's unanswerable, I think. I believe you might be able to understand it in certain states of reality, but otherwise these are the mysteries. It's being able to learn to live with things that have no answers, which are permanent mysteries for the human, at least. This is normal reality. And when we think we got an answer for everything, oh boy, we're off on a primrose path. Now, if you don't have a lot of things out there that you're well aware can never be answered, you will never understand them, you're on the right track. Okay, folks, hang loose. Aloha.